Hey, good morning, everybody. Apologize for that brief interruption. Not sure what happened, but something got posted said like it's terminated. There's a poor connection. Hopefully, this will be a better connection. Okay. Welcome back to Mondays with Moss. I'm Moss Jackson, clinical psychologist and success coach. And for the last 4 months, can you believe 4 months of this pandemic? I've been trying to share with you some ideas about how to thrive, not just survive. And actually, I've been thinking about as we move into the fourth, the beginning of the summer. Hi, Paul, you're the first, thanks. Thinking about the design of my talk. And I think it's really about learning how to design your life rather than life designing you, rather than the circumstances beating us down, we're always reacting to it, actually using our circumstances to get us back in touch with what's important to us so we can navigate life and not just survive it. So really, just to briefly summarize what we've been going through, we're going through a transition. We're going through several transitions. One, the lockdown from business as normal into being isolated and quarantined. Then we moved through the last several months of business as unusual. How do we do our practice and our business from home and away from the office, away from working with others, learning how to use Zoom and other virtual reality techniques. And now we're moving, not back, but we're moving into the new reality of how are we going to cope, how are we going to deal. And you can see on TV when we get reports of people having an opportunity to re-engage in some areas of the country, they're spiking the virus and people are getting sick by the tens of thousands. So we've got to be really, really careful. So all this is new. It can be scary. We have not had any training in this. We're not really prepared for it. So we're all trying to invent and discover ways of taking care of ourselves and each other as we go along. So I want to tell you a story about my growing up in Brooklyn, about my mother. So my mother was a survivor. She was a fighter. When she was 8 years old, I think she went through the Spanish flu pandemic. And then later on during the 30s, she went through the Depression. And she happened to grow up in a very poor family where her mother struggled. My grandfather abandoned them. So there were 11 siblings, and they really struggled. And I think there was trauma. I know there was trauma both from the pandemic and the Depression and economic scarcity. And I learned something and I didn't learn something having her as my mom. What she was a survivor. She was a fighter. If someone got in our way, man, she would step in. I never saw her do a physical fight, but she would struggle and fight with store managers. We once got kicked out of a department store called Corvette's because she didn't like the pricing of a particular jacket. So she changed the pricing of a jacket from like $30 to $12. In those days, the prices were pretty cheap. And the store manager said, "What are you doing? You're stealing." And my mother fought him, and he said, "Take the jacket, leave, never come back." My mother was a fighter. She would scrap. She collected antiques and art. When things were tough, she would sell them. During the war, she told me she dealt in the black market. So she was a fighter. Okay, now what I learned from her were two things. I learned persistence and courage. Don't give up, no matter how you feel, fight for your right, take your ground. What I did not learn from her was calmness and compassion. My mom was not a calm, compassionate person. She was a fighter. She would just easily take off your head and hug you, okay? So the point is, I think, we all get hit with one thing or the other, upsets and complaints. It could be money. And my family growing up was about money. It wasn't that much about health, but more about money and financial scarcity. But we all are experiencing now some kind of upset or complaint. Maybe your money's running out. Maybe you're having trouble with the government getting the funding. Illness. There's enough illness going around now that you might know someone who got ill, or maybe even someone who died. I know a couple of people have died because of the illness. Work-related issues, what's happening to your career, relationship issues. Maybe the children are driving you crazy, your spouse is driving you crazy, you can't go see your mom or grandmom because of the quarantine. And many of you, I think, are suffering from loneliness and what to do about it. So, in fact, I had a teenage client the other day. A few weeks ago, we were talking about an incident where I was coaching him, and he was able to move from thinking suicidal thoughts, like life was hopeless, I might as well die, life sucks, because a girl didn't call him back. And he finally said to me, you know, Dr. Moss, he calls me Dr. Moss. Hey, Dr. Moss, one thing I like about you is you're teaching me to move from my stupid brain to my smart brain. How can I think rather than just react? So that was kind of cool. So in the past number of talks, we've been looking at a toolbox of resources that you can use to kind of get through the pandemic. We've looked at emotional flooding, when sometimes emotions get so strong they flood over your thinking and they stop our thinking brain. We've looked at 1 and 2 marshmallow thinkers. 1 marshmallow thinkers are ready, fire, aim. The 2 marshmallow person is ready, aim, fire. Let me think this out before I react. Let me pause before once I get triggered, think about what I want to do and have a couple options, not just react emotionally. We talked about ping-ponging back and forth between the past and the future, regretting and having resentments over stuff that's happened, decisions you've made, things that people have done that you're taking personally, or jumping into the future and doing what if I don't have enough money? What if I get sick and I bring it home? So worrying about things that haven't happened or regretting and resenting things that have happened in the past. And we talked about a structure for creating some kind of agenda during the day, getting up at a certain time. If you're not exercising because the gym is closed, how do you motivate yourself to do something physical on a regular basis? We've been talking about having control and safety. We can't control the pandemic, but we can control our responses to it, so we're not victims to it. And how do we create safety so that we're taking care of ourselves and our loved ones? I think we've also talked about several foundation skills, if you remember, about getting grounded, this is your body, stay in the present, setting boundaries, making sure toxic people, you're staying away from them, and perspective, having a point of view that's workable. So if you like, let me know you want to know more about it. That'd be fine. But today I want to talk to you about something I came across a few days ago that I liked, that I thought it might have real value for you in giving you another resource to navigate life, to design your life, not being designed by life. It's called the A Game. So it was done by Kylie Stone. I think she might be Australian, but I came across one of her pieces of work, the A Game, and there were 3 A's to it. So it's kind of simple structure. So here's a simple 3 A's to practice. 1A is acknowledge. 2nd A is accountability. The 3rd A is take action. So what do I mean by that? Acknowledge. I'll give you an example. The other day, I think I was reacting with 1 marshmallow thinking. Something happened in my office, and it was between 2 other therapists, and I got involved, and I got anxious and annoyed. I wanted to move it along, okay? I was rushing to solve the problem, but it really wasn't my problem. And as a result, I stuck my neck in, I gave my 2 cents, offended some people. Hey, David, good to see you. Offended some people. It got back to me, and I felt my body, I felt myself get anxious. I felt it in my chest and my stomach. It bothered me, and I started to get into a blame mode. Why are they doing this to me? It was just amazing how quickly I became stupid, by doing 1 marshmallow thinking. I got emotionally flooded. I did some breathing. I paused. I took a walk. I practiced some of the things I've been telling you guys, and then I thought about it. So I was acknowledging my fear, acknowledging my thinking. Acknowledging is just being aware and saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, okay? And being aware of it, because if you're aware of it, now we're using our thinking brain to observe. We're not just ready, fire, aiming, all right? But I did ready, fire, aim, and I caused the problem. I slept on it, not very well, but when I got up in the morning, I knew I had to now be accountable. So I went to my daughter. She was one of the people involved in this triangulated conversation. And I started to apologize. I'm really sorry, Jen. I stuck my nose in. I reacted quickly and impulsively. She was great. She took a deep breath because she was probably upset about it too. And we figured out a solution. So an acknowledgement, you're taking responsibility. Hey, look, I screwed up. I'm blaming people. Stop it. And take responsibility and figure out what's the next best thing to do. And that was really helpful. So thank you, Kelly, for that notion of what's the next best thing I could do to handle it. So the two A's beginning are acknowledging the problem, what you're feeling and thinking. Number 2, to be accountable for your bad behavior, stupid behavior, and then think about what can I do that might really be helpful, and then take action. Have courage and have compassion that by taking action doesn't mean you're right, but you're trying to do something to effect a change. So those are the 3 A's for the A game. And I'll give you another example, because some of you may be feeling a sense of loneliness as we go through this quarantine, okay? So if you're lonely, be aware of feeling alone. I'm feeling sad. I'm missing my friends, missing my grandma. That's acknowledging. Accountability is, rather than feeling like it's being done to you, ask yourself, what's the best thing I can do to maintain connection? Because that's what loneliness is about. Without connection and bonding, you need to be connected. So maybe you could send her a card. Maybe you could draw her pictures. Maybe you can make a phone call, do a Zoom. If it's a friend, have a lunch date, have cocktails over virtual reality. It may not be the best, but it does help. Every week for the last 2 months, my wife and I have joined 2 other couples, good friends of ours, down at the beach in Brigantine, and we've had cocktails at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. And on Saturday, we have a little dinner together. Now that it's transitioning, we're moving back into having outdoor connection with them. So you want to think about, what can I do, the next best thing? If I can't have the best, what's the next best, okay? And then, and you want to take action. So that's 2 examples. One that I experienced in terms of my one-track, fast-track, stupid brain thinking, cleaning it up through awareness or acknowledgement, accountability and taking action, and the other one about loneliness. So the bottom line is, sometimes life sucks. And right now we're going through a difficult time for most of us. Anxiety is increasing, emotional disturbance is increasing, people are stressing out. And some of us are impulsively rushing back into social connection, and we're getting sick. So we want to practice 2 marshmallow thinking. So be careful, guys. And practice the A game. Just a simple little idea I wanted to share with you. Not really complicated. The A game is acknowledge what's going on, be accountable, stop blaming, take responsibility, and then take action with courage and compassion. I hope this talk today on resilience, this is the beginning of a series on navigating your life, not just surviving your life, designing the life you want so you can really be happy and have accomplishment and satisfaction, regardless of your circumstances. And so next week, actually next Monday is a holiday, so I won't broadcast next Monday. But I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Hope to hear from you. Hope to see you. Until then, have a great A game. Okay? Be on your A game. Bye, guys.